Happy Thursday, Facebook friends. Welcome back to Facebook. It's Thursday, and that means it's time for another edition of Teacher Talk. I'm Angie Garza, Director of Professional Learning and Educational Services at ROE 47, serving Lee, Ogle, and Whiteside counties. And for those of you who are returning, or maybe you're new to our Facebook page, we'd like to remind everyone that we've been doing Teacher Talks now for 2 years. And the purpose is to really highlight and celebrate all of the great things that are happening in our 3 counties and in our school communities, to inform, to celebrate. And today is one of those days. As we look to close out January and we look hopefully to some warmer weather here in the next few months, we know we are on the back half of our 21-22 school year. And that means we have lots of things to celebrate in education, including some impending retirements and departures. So that's just a little teaser trailer, and we'll tell you more about our Teacher Talk today in just a moment. But before we get into that, I am pleased to welcome my friend, colleague, and co-host, Ms. Stacy Dingus, Digital Teaching and Learning Specialist, this morning to our Teacher Talk. Good morning, Stacy.
Good morning, Angie. I'm excited about this Teacher Talk today. We have a very familiar face to actually not just our school community, but the community as a whole. As we are experiencing a teacher shortage these days, it's very heartwarming to talk to someone who has spent his entire career in education and giving some inspiration to some of those young ones that are, dipping their toes in the world of education in the first couple years. So I'm excited to get this conversation going.
Me too, Stacy. So, without any further ado, we are proud to welcome to Teacher Talk this morning, the man, the myth, the Dixon High School legend, Dr. Mike Grady. Good morning. How are you this morning, Mike?
Good morning, Angie. Doing well. That was quite an introduction.
Well, I think it's hard to find just the exact words to capture, as Stacy mentioned, we're looking for a little inspiration in our lives these days as we welcome new teachers. And certainly you have been that person as a leader and as an educator in the Dixon community for many years. And so while I was greatly looking forward and am greatly looking forward to talking with you today, I'm also a little sad that we're going to be wishing you well at the end of this school year in your well-deserved retirement. So we're very happy to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Speaking of the longevity of your career, tell us your story. Tell us how you came to education. What's it been like, as you've moved throughout your career and kind of progressed on your leadership journey?
I took a pretty circuitous route to education. Youngest of 5, grew up on a farm in Amboy. The expectation was always to go to school, but agriculture was what I knew, and our farm wasn't big enough so that I knew I couldn't come back and just work on the farm. So I went to the University of Illinois and got an agricultural economics degree. And then I was a grain elevator manager for 9 whole days. It was the 9 longest days of my life. Didn't like it, thought it was going to be something different. Told my parents I wasn't going to continue doing that. And I went back to school, Western Illinois University, got a mathematics degree. Took a job in Amboy for 2 years. And then in 1991, I came to Dixon and been here ever since.
Dr. Grady, you obviously have a huge experience, many, years and years in education. Although I have to say, a side note, as an ag girl, I did not know that about ag economics. So impressed by that. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about changes that you've seen in education for teachers, administrators. I can't imagine from when you started till, who knows even now when retirement looming in the near future in May. What are some major changes that you've seen in the world of education?
Well, in 1989, when I had my first job at Amboy, we still had mimeograph machines with the ink, and that I still can remember that smell. It did take a long time, and you had to press hard on the paper, in order to get copies made. So as a teacher, the technology from just a mimeograph machine to an actual copier that actually copied paper was, I thought, amazing. And then when I got a desktop computer, I had a hard time adjusting that. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So in education, I think technology, the infusion of technology into the classroom has been the biggest change that I've seen. And it's only going to continue to grow because our world around us is so heavily laden into technology, and our kids have to be tech savvy in order to be successful.
Mike, in addition to those changes that we've seen over your career, I'm going to ask you a tough question now. You've seen your share of challenges and tragedies. We've worked through school improvement together. Dixon High School a few years ago had a school shooting. Right now, we are in the midst of a pandemic, an educator shortage. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are, and how have you moved your community through all of those really challenging times, and how are you addressing some of these really big, overwhelming challenges such as COVID and the teacher shortage right now at Dixon High School?
The biggest thing that I think I can talk about is the training that our teachers have received. You talked about school improvement. You talked about our school shooting. We have an excellent relationship with the Dixon Police Department. And back in 2000, when the Student Resource Officer Program was first initiated, we got on board right away. And that relationship between DPD and Dixon High School has just grown positively. And we've had a lot of good student resource officers here and at Reagan Middle School, and they train our staff. With respect to the teacher shortage, we spent 2 years with down one special ed teacher. We would go to all the job and career fairs at colleges and universities. It's very difficult to compete against some of the suburban schools and some of the area schools that pay more. And young people have a hard time seeing the benefits of Dixon when there's less opportunities for them in a rural community like us, as opposed to a city or urban or suburban community. So it's about building relationships. I tell some of the people that I talk to, one thing longevity does at one place, that I've been here for this long, you develop relationships with people that you teach with and work with, and that develops trust. So you just have these open conversations. That's how we have to be to survive right now. You have to be open and honest with everyone, and you have to be honest with your community and your parents and your students, because it's a tough time right now. And as long as everybody knows that they're working in the best interests of their kids, then you have a chance.
Can you tell us a little bit, if I say highlights, some of your maybe favorite moments, memories, what comes to mind as you are starting to think about, closing the door at Dixon High School? What are some of your favorite memories or moments that you could share with us?
Well, most of my favorite memories revolve around kids. Seeing my own kids graduate from Dixon High School, seeing the community accept them and me and my family, very positive. I've had a great experience at Dixon. Our superintendent, Mrs. Emben, told me this right after the school shooting. It was our worst day, and yet it was our best day, because we had people and kids step up. It was amazing. It was amazing how our community rallied behind us, and it made me feel like I was in the right place doing what I needed to be doing. So it sounds kind of strange, but best day, worst day was a pretty good depiction of that day. And just the number of wonderful students that we have here. I know it sounds very cliche, but we have some outstanding kids. I appreciate the support that the parents have been giving us, and just goes back to, if parents and kids know that you're working for them to try to help them, then the relationship works. I would say that's my biggest highlight.
I'm going to lighten things up just a little bit. I've known you for a long time, and one of the things I know about you is that you like to laugh and you lead with such, you mentioned honesty, but also such humor. And so, you have a particular brand of humor. And so I'm interested in your take. I'm going to share something with you right now. I'm interested in your take on this guy right here. Tell us a little bit about Corncob Carl.
Well, the genesis of Corncob Carl was a Halloween costume. And full disclosure, there was an article written in the paper, the Amboy News, about a certain subdivision being very frustrated with outsiders coming in trick-or-treating, and knowing full well that a lot of people would know who I am. When my oldest son Aaron was 5 years old, I put a costume together and we went door to door in Amboy, and nobody said anything to me. So, and I went to several of my former teachers who I had in high school and elementary school, and they had no idea who I was. So I figured that's a way for me to go incognito. So, and then it just kind of developed into one of the things that I wanted to try to do for the kids here is that Dixon High School has to be a place where they want to come. And if they can laugh, and if it's laughing at my expense, so be it. I want them to have a positive experience, and laughter just helps you feel better. So that was the genesis of that. And it just kind of grew into its own, I don't know what you call it.
Well, I was going to say, I think it grew exponentially. If we're having like a main event SmackDown with Corncob Carl, I think that's become part of the culture. So I'm sure the students and everyone will miss that. You'll have to make some guest appearances in your retirement.
That could be possible.
My last question for you is, any advice that you would leave for young teachers, first-year teachers? As we kind of mentioned earlier, it's such a crazy time right now for everyone, but especially for our teachers in the classroom. Any advice that you could give to younger ones that are pursuing a certificate in education or that have just newly entered the classroom?
It's a great profession. Education is the most important thing that we do. Without education, kids don't get to become doctors and lawyers and engineers. If you're starting off in education, or if you're thinking about becoming an educator, service to others has to be your main focus. When kids know that you care about them and that you're working for them, this is a very rewarding profession. And when I knew that 100% of the time as a teacher, and then when I became a dean of students, I kind of lost that focus, and then regained it as I got into the principalship, because a principal or a dean of students is just an educator still, but outside of a classroom. And if it goes back to, I'm sounding like a broken record, but if it goes back to, if kids know you care about them, if parents know you care about them, if they know that you're working to help them be successful, then you've got it made, because this is a great profession to help people. And even when I'm handling discipline now, I always ask, well, okay, how do we do better? What do you want to do? How can I help you? And when you look at it and ask those questions and then follow through, when a kid has a suggestion for you, or a parent has a suggestion for you, and you actually go through with it, gives you credibility. And over time, you build those relationships with those kids. And right now, education is in dire need of people who want to help out kids, because we need them. So it's a very rewarding profession. It's very difficult. It's trying at times. You have to have thick skin, and then you have to take care of yourself. And laughter, exercise, all those things that you do as a person to take care of yourself are very important as well.
And, I just want to, in reflecting on what you just shared with us, you are the leader, you are the person who owns their words and lives what they say. And because I could remember all of our conversations about running, maybe watching you down a few Diet Mountain Dews, over your tenure, lots of laughter, lots of, collegiality. And so for everyone listening, you are a leader of your word. And so I've always greatly appreciated that about you. How about retirement? What's next for you? I know we still have, you're not done. We talked before we kind of got on today, and, we said, are you counting down? And you said, absolutely not. There's work to be done. And so we don't want to shortcut the journey, but, in thinking about those last days, and as you look forward to closing out your tenure in education, tell us about your plans for retirement. What's in store?
Well, I recall having a conversation about 4 or 5 months ago with someone from the Regional Office of Education that there may be some opportunities about someone in need of mentoring principals, but I don't know if that's going to be an option out there. I'm not closing any doors, but I know on the future horizon, my brother and I are going to farm my parents' farm, and he owns some land down around Ohio, Illinois. And it's just a very rewarding endeavor, because you can look and see what you get done when you plant a field, when you harvest a field, when you till a field. I really have a strong relationship and bond with my brother. I'm looking forward to working with him. I plan on traveling a lot with Renee. I owe her a lot of time because, as you know, when you're in education, when you're a principal, you spend a lot of time away from family, and I have a lot of time to make up with her. And then we're gonna go see our 3 sons. One's down in St. Louis area, and Colin's a senior in college at Illinois State, and Evan works locally here. So we plan on bothering them and asking them what's for supper and complaining about it, and then leave and travel and go farm. But again, I don't ever say never about closing doors, but I'm looking forward to retirement. I'm looking forward to other challenges, and it's been a great ride. Can't complain.
Well, once again, that theme of relationship, just kind of keeps coming to the forefront. And I think that is genuinely one of the things that I've appreciated most about working with you over the last 12 to 13 years. So kudos to you for all of your hard work, all of your dedication, your commitment to students, and to that continued learning and laughter with everyone you work with and meet. We greatly appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And Angie didn't pay me to say these things, but it's been a pleasure working with her. Anytime I needed some advice or some help about some curricular things, it's always good to have her, because she wouldn't, I don't know how well all you else know her, but she doesn't lie. She cuts right to the chase, tells you how it is. And I appreciated that. But I really appreciated working with her and the ROE. Great resources for local schools to have. So thank you.
Thank you. That means so much to me. Like I said, I've appreciated our relationship over the years. You've been the one to push me and make me to think. If ever there was a moment where I'm like, what would Mike Grady say? And you usually said it. So
yeah, it's true.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
Well, Facebook friends, please join us in wishing Dr. Mike Grady well wishes on his last few months as the principal of Dixon High School, and his really exciting and, growth-filled tenure in education. I know that he is going to continue to do great things, and keep your phone close by, Dr. Grady, because we'll be calling. I
will. Thank you.
Yes. On behalf, I can't believe that our time has passed so quickly this morning. So on behalf of my friend, colleague, and co-host, Stacey Dingus, our special guest this morning, Dr. Mike Grady, we would like to thank you for tuning in. This is Thursday. It's probably pretty chilly out, so we want to make sure that you stay warm. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Have an even better Friday. Relax and enjoy the weekend, and we will see you right back here next Thursday for another edition of Teacher Talk.